Willkommen, bienvenue, and welcome back to Opus Magnum with Lyte. Today, we've got a waterproof sealant. Once again, almighty hexagon. This time, it's slightly expanded because you need a little bit of extra space. But once again, if you want minimal area, you need to let nothing go to waste. And you go over no extra hexes, you know you've got an optimal area. So with our arm, we can just grab everything, move it around, and make our final product. However, it's not minimal in cost. Remember last time when I was talking about you try to do it with just a normal arm because that's the cheapest you're gonna get? Well, that's the cheapest you're gonna get, is just using a normal arm that's not a piston. Now, this is nowhere near space optimal because you go over a hex there, and then in a moment, you go over tons of hexes. The area is significantly larger than the lowest area solution. But since we don't use a piston, this one is the cheapest. And once again, all we use is twists and turns. We do a little bit of a shimmy right in here, where we use the rotating something in the hand ability, which we don't use all that often because it tends to use up a lot of area. But sometimes it is what you need. A lot of times when you're working for speed, though, since what you're using doesn't move, it'll be in the way of the next thing coming down the line, and it'll hog your throughput, which is not so great. So those are the smallest and the cheapest. But they take a long time. They're nowhere near asymptotically optimal. So then, on my stream, I developed Rain-X, because, you know, waterproof sealant and all. And this one was when I was still in my arms phase, using arms for everything. So, when trying to do problems like this, you have to look at your inputs and your outputs and determine what is your bottleneck. What is going to slow you down? In this case, it's the air. Because the water is fine. You've got plenty of water to go from your reagents straight into your products, but unfortunately you've got half as much air as you need. So that's going to slow you down by a significant amount. So remember on the previous puzzle where we had 2 reagent inputs for each output? Well, that's the same case here. So we know this will take an absolute minimum of 24 cycles. Then you need to determine, well, if it takes a minimum of 24 cycles, how many more do we need? You certainly don't need just one more because that's just dropping it in the bucket. So, most likely, it's going to require the one move out, which gets you to the 24, one more move, and a drop. So we're expecting 26 on this one. But what we get, we grab, we move, we grab, we move, we grab, we move. Which, during your arms phase, is a great number. And we just let that go and it pushes it in. It's pretty darn quick. It looks nice while it's doing it, but it takes 27 cycles. Because you had that extra drop and lift that we've talked about several times as being a thing that will add an extra cycle to what you're going to do. So what's the solution? Just remember from previous things, what do you do when you're that one thing shy and you're using arms to do what you're doing? That's right. You use a track. And with the track, you're able to grab, push, and push just that tiny bit faster. See? Just a tiny bit faster, you move from that 27 to a 26. Because instead of being grab, move, drop, it's grab, move, drop. And so you shave off that last one to be, I'm fairly confident in saying, optimal cyclage. Now it's not, unfortunately, optimal programming. Because you take a look at this and go, wow, Lyte, you've got a lot of repetition in that, don't you? Well, I also want to see, can I put this one it might crash. No, it's good. Oops. So it's important to actually have things match when things need to match. And another thing is, why do we even have the second set of things? Well, because the original design was not smart enough to know that it really was an 8 cycle on both sections. And then, to compactify your code even more, you take these out and replace them with these. And now, instead of having reduplicated code that has a lot of extra things in it, we've used a little bit of syntactic sugar to make it vastly more human readable. Because now you can see what the actual cycle length is. These resets make it such that you don't have to look at grab, right, drop, left. You just look at grab, right, reset, and then do it again. And then down here, you don't have that sort of reduplication. And so you go, well, is there anything we could do to this? Maybe. You could position it somewhere else and move a plus in here, but that's not particularly important. You've got 2 of these arms. They're slightly offset from one another. And you see with the 4, if you wanted to move it somewhere that it looks better, you'd probably do a little something like this. And you get something like that. Now, some of you might not really like how long they pause, but that's the nature of this particular problem, in that you do have to wait to grab it and move it. That's just how things are. And if you really wanted to see it like that, you could actually add a clock to the beginning of this cycle. I think that'll do it. Such that it shows that it's waiting at the beginning instead of waiting at the end. But again, it doesn't make much of a difference, because waiting is still waiting. So once again, if you've got any questions about this solution, or a better, prettier, funnier, or more interesting solution of your own, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section, or head over to the Discord. There is an Opus Magnum section for posting any of the GIFs that you have of this, posting any of your ideas, questions, anything that you really want that's related to the game. But I will see you in the next episode of Opus Magnum with Lyte.